sigh inside, like, oh yeah, this is, of course, this has been an issue for me, and,
well, especially if you believe that stuff. You believe these people like they're authorities. They must know. They must be so happy. Look how happy they are posing in the mirror with this protein powder.
Or, like, oh, if I had access to that, I wonder how good I'd look. Maybe I could look like, it's like, oh, God.
Because the way you look is how you are happy.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Wouldn't you rather be blind?
Well, anyway, here we are.
Okay, well, tell me where you're at.
And I had a pretty good Thanksgiving. Did you have a nice Thanksgiving?
I did. It was awesome. I love Thanksgiving. It's one of my favorites. Love the food. Love the meaning.
Yeah. Yeah, same. And my sisters, I was worried or whatever. They were on the warpath, but they were being pretty chill. And I walked in with like a bag of clothes that I'd gone through my clothes, and a friend had gone through her clothes, and I picked out some stuff that my sisters might like. So that was kind of disarming.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was just nice to not worry about the food or what, everybody was like, oh, I worked out this morning and I haven't eaten, and, for this, and then I'm going to work it off. And I'm just like, I'm not. Okay. I'm just going to eat. Like, it was just relaxing, and it was nice to not, I just didn't have any like fat shame for how big I am. I just didn't really cross my mind. I didn't gorge myself. I just enjoyed the food and the family, and so that was definitely like, it's just nice to be reminded, like, okay, there was a time where I would pile my plate and get it in as fast as I could. Like,
well, yeah, and then you would have been talking about how when this is over, you're gonna go do keto, and you're gonna be like totally on the bandwagon again, and you're gonna lose all the weight. And so right now, I'm gonna just tell everybody that I'm gonna do what I want. Yeah, you don't have to force anything, and there's no pressure.
And it was just nice to just, I just put like a little bit of everything on my plate. Just, I didn't really think, so food wasn't really, so that was nice. And, it's just, when I get wound up about things, I just kind of stop and just go, okay, like, look at this past year and all, I just have to like take a minute to acknowledge the progress and how far I've come, and then like dive back into where I still am.
Mm-hmm.
And this knee thing has definitely been, a challenging teacher. To think, that it was arthritis, and to live with that for a few weeks, and which actually just yielded a lot of growth. I mean, it did. I mean, I just had to dig so deep to think that this might actually be like my new normal.
Mm-hmm.
And I had, and it definitely, I had a huge, breakthrough awareness from just about men and wanting to be attractive, and it was, I don't know, it sounds so trite and nothing, but it was like, I was on a walk and I was hobbling with the dog, and I was just like, I was like, wow, this is really it. Like, I just have this, we've talked about, it was just this moment of really actually getting it, that I don't want to get a man by, I always felt like I had to lure them in by how I looked, and then once I lured them in, then maybe like entrance them enough to want to stay, and then have this incredible affair. Like, I just had such magical, twisted ways of thinking about relationships. And once I really felt like, wow, I'm not going to be able to, like, I lost it. It's done. Like, I can't, this relief that came through me, it was just really this beautiful moment I had on a walk, that I was like crying with like joy and happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I actually want a friend. I want a man that would just, want to be a friend to me, and I would be a friend to them, and we would just be friends who love each other. I don't know. I just kind of got a whole new, deep, weird feeling of what I would want if it, if that came along, and it was just beautiful, and it's like stayed with me, and I just am like already feeling not drawn to certain types, and feel, I don't know, it's kind of been a huge change. It was a beautiful moment.
That's awesome. That sounds
I wouldn't
huge.
have had if I didn't think I had arthritis forever, so I was
Where you had to, you were forced to face the permanence of this, and the fact that the fantasy is not reachable.
Yeah. And that it's just so, why would I even want that? It's so work and having to keep up looks.
And you're lying. You're a liar to the person. Yeah. You're basically creating an illusion of what you think they want to lure them in, and you're not even really allowing them to just be and like who you are. And think of what you sign yourself up to when you go into that fantasy. You're the one that has to suffer for this mirage. Because it's all a lie.
And then the guy, the men that I meet are always the one like, oh, you look good, and like that's kind of there. And then I get validated for like a fleeting moment, like, oh, he's sexually attracted to me, okay, and then it's just, then what? Then I'm just ignoring all the red flags about them just to try to get that next fix.
The high of them
it's just
validating you.
I don't know. I'm grateful. I am grateful for that. It felt huge for me, and so that's been amazing. And
so relieving too. Don't you agree? It's like holding on to those fantasies. That's what's hard.
Yeah.
Letting go is easy.
It's true. It was the easiest. It was just, I was like, where is this coming from? I was just standing in the middle on this beautiful street with this dog, just tears streaming down my cheeks, going, oh, I want a friend, like a real, like a person that
I can like you for you, and you like them for them. They don't have to change. It's just natural.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I would bring my joy to the relationship. I would bring my creativity. Like, I would bring my heart. I would bring me.
The truth.
It was seriously like,
my God, I can tell the truth.
A new concept, but
I get to just be me. Yeah, well, I imagine this happened for you because you've kind of finally addressed the fact that the truth of you from the inside, the real aspect of you that's not a lie, that you've actually started to honor that as relevant. Like, that's important. That is something to use when looking at these kind of ideas or fantasies of what I'm supposed to be. Would you feel so bad about yourself if you were using the inner sense of your worth to define yourself? Right? So let me see if I can phrase this properly. If you're using the inner sense of your truth and the worth of who you are as a sense of value, when you're compared to an ideal and it doesn't match, oh, you're not thin enough, you're not young enough, does it affect you so much? Because that's a lie. That's just some concept. What you're feeling on the inside isn't just a concept. That's a real thing. It's truthful. No one can take that from you, and no one can make it better.
Tried and true. It's tried and true.
Totally. And just because someone goes, wow, you're funny and creative, doesn't mean that they're adding to your funny creative. It is that way whether they acknowledge it or not.
That's true.
Makes sense? So it's not dependent or even influenced by someone else's acknowledge of it, or, the fact that someone doesn't even notice it exists. So it's like your need for someone to validate you essentially is irrelevant because you're using your inner reality or the inner truth and you're validating it yourself. So that's why I bring this up, is because some of this freedom comes after someone validates the truth from within themselves. You finally got to a place where you were like, I'm a good person, even if I'm hobbling, even if I'm aging and I don't have the right body type or whatever that is. That doesn't matter because I know inside I'm the same person. I feel good about the me that's real in there, that it just is that way. I don't have to work at it,
Yeah.
So if someone's going to criticize this, they should go find someone else who matches their superficial ideals. You know?
And I think, too, the last session I was about me being a big fat liar and everything.
That helps?
I've just been trying to be more aware.
Of the denial.
Trying to be more aware of the little lies. Because I was a little bit, kind of confused. Like, I was sort of like, what does she mean that I'm lying to myself when I say, that I want to eat the second taco because it's going to go bad, or, in a way, I guess I'm making excuses, or I'm trying to, I don't know, but then it sort of clicked when I would find myself wanting to eat the rest of something. Then I would just say, I just want to eat this because I want to, I don't know, I felt like I was being more honest about it. Like, I wasn't saying, oh, this is going to go bad, or I should just eat this.
Yes.
I was like, I want to eat this right now because I want to compensate myself, and I just want to fucking eat it, and I just being I would just be more honest.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
Correct. So
I wouldn't try to make up something as to why I was doing it.
Right, that made you feel better about it, right? It's like, just go into the truth. I'm trying to compensate, and because I don't want to accept the truth of what I don't agree with.
Or then I saw how when you posted it for the Patreon, you wrote like, oh, you're gonna have to compensate, or if you're playing the victim is when you don't want to face the truth, or whatever. I was sort of like, oh, I get in that. Yeah, I kind of like.
I know.
Got it.
I think it's
in a different way that I don't want to face this. So then even like at night, like if I come and find myself coming into the kitchen and I'll stop and I'll go, are you even hungry right now? And it's like, no, but I just want a little something, just a little something.
Yes, you're lying to yourself about something.
And then I would stand and go, what do I not want to face right now? And then I would be like, oh, it's a little bit, I'm kind of bored or a little bit lonely, or I wish, I kind of would be like, oh, I just don't want to face myself right now.
Yes, and don't judge it. Get rid of the guilt aspect of it. Just tell yourself the truth so that you're at least aware of why you struggle with this shit.
Yeah.
You're not willing to face the truth, so you're going to keep on doing what you're doing because it covers it up. It's like lying.
Or just anxiety, Like, I just have, this past week, I've just been aware of, just different anxieties about things and about my knee and about, I'm anxious. And so I'll kind of find myself roaming into the kitchen. And I'll be like, okay, I don't want to face something right now.
Yep.
And even then, that didn't necessarily stop me. I would still,
Yeah, but at least you're aware.
Or whatever, but it was just felt more like at least I was like, at least tell the truth here.
Well, at least you're conscious. Yeah, it's more conscious rather than just this idea the food is pleasurable and I have no control. At least you're understanding that you're making choices. There's a choice here you're making. And so once you get into that space where you're like, I'm feeling anxious, what you need to start doing is questioning the anxiousness. Like, why would you be anxious about this? What's your belief patterns in there that would create fear? Because that's what anxiousness is. It's a manifestation of fear. Right?
Yeah, and, then definitely, I texted you, I found out on Friday that this is actually a complete tear meniscus. Like a total, she was just like, it's a complete tear. Like, it's, it's as in it's completely severed, just hanging there. It was
so painful.
I was like, you need to back up. I literally said, I'm like, you need to back it up right now. Like, what did you just say? Like, I was shocked because I don't remember even. Anyway, so that sort of was like, oh, fuck. And so now, I'm going to find out this week. I'll talk to the specialist and see if he, she was like, you need to get surgery. And because it's so far in there that no physical therapy, nothing can touch it. Like, they just have to fix it. And so, I'll find out more things and this and that. But of course, I just was sort of, it gives me, like, what's ahead. And, like, so I do go in and out. It's just a challenge to, to remind myself, okay, my cousin fucking has tumors in her brain. She's never going to feel good again. She's dying. Like, not, like, snap out of it. You can do this, Then the next minute, like, I just want my knee back now. And then, like, like, okay, this is, you worrying about my jobs, like how much time am I going to have to take off, and it's on my right foot. Am I going to be able to drive? Like, what's this going to mean? How is it going to heal? Okay, am I going to, all going through all of that?
All the worry. It sounds like you're trying to work. Worry is like our way of trying to work to make ourselves feel better.
Yeah.
About what we can't control, but what's worry really doing?
Nothing really.
Stress, it's just anxiety. It's an illusion you're getting anything done. Doesn't really do anything.
And then I'll go, okay, we'll just take it a step at a time. And, and then, it's so much aware of the weight on my body, limping the thing around and getting up out of bed. Like, it's like, okay, this is what it is. And, and so I had one point during the week, I had this thought, I'm like, maybe what if I wanted to lose weight for no vain reasons? What if it was not for any narcissistic reasons? I just want to lose weight. Maybe I could do that. Maybe I could just choose,
That's funny.
It was like
so why do you want to lose weight? For no reason.
just to help my body and help my knee. Like, I want to, and then it was like immediately, yeah, that didn't work. Then it was like,
well, if you tell yourself the truth.
It would just be nice to have less weight while I'm gimping around on this thing. But
that even if you were 100 pounds less, it would still be very painful. You'd still be gimping around with a meniscus tear. Right?
Or like, how did it tear? I'm like, okay, maybe could it just tear? Like,
tell me why that matters.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't. Just to find blame or.
Yeah, because you're judging something. Why would you need to blame? Because there's judgment. So this goes back to our last session. Why are you judging a meniscus tear? I've lived with a meniscus tear since I played volleyball in college. I told you I have a bucket tear. And so it's like a handle that pops up and then it pops back down. So I have no pain when it's down, but all of a sudden it'll pop up and my knee locks. I can't do anything. It's like, it's super painful and I got to do this weird stretch and then it pops back in and then
oh God.
It doesn't matter. It's like, why does it even matter how that happened at this point?
Yeah. It's just,
So you're having guilt or you're shaming it. And so now you need to blame something and I need to find out what it is. All of that is like, just sounds miserable to me. When you can go, okay, I'm glad I know. Let's fix it. Okay, well, whatever it's going to take is what it's going to take. So whatever worry you have right now is just like self-deprecation. It'll work out in the end. You're going to have conversations with the people you need to work with. It'll all work out in the end.
Yeah.
And the problem is you don't think you can handle it. So that's where the fear and stress comes from and anxiety. I can't handle it. Well.
Yeah. Then I have the thought, well, guess what? You are handling it.
Well, you don't have a choice.
You've already been going through this for 3 weeks now. You've been handling it. You are handling it.
This is where, comparing yourself to someone with brain cancer is irrelevant. Because they clearly can handle it. You are the one that can't handle it. So it doesn't matter what someone else can handle. You know what I mean? You have to go into what can I handle? Is this something that I can handle? This is like the development process. Potato, cut it out.
Potato. But there's danger.
Right. It's the UPS driver. He's going to get us. But yeah, you've got to really sit back and ask if this is really something you want to be catastrophize. Is it really that?
Well, it's very, whatever. There's time, my friend yesterday was so sweet. He loaned me a pair of crutches. I hadn't even had crutches yet. I was like, it's like there's time where I can't even, literally, I'm like, oh, fuck, I literally can't walk to the bathroom. I can't, it hurts. It's like, it's super, super, so I am having to just, really dig deep and just be like, so this is what it is.
This is reality.
This is what's happening. But then there's times where I'll just get so physically depleted and exhausted and worn down. Like, I just want to clean my apartment. I can't, everything, I can hear myself, wait, everything takes twice as long.
I know, it's just like.
I'm like, I guess, but then today I'm like, just call and have your groceries delivered. Because, the grocery store is a fucking ordeal, getting
Totally.
all the water and shit up the stairs, and it takes. I'm sweating. I'm like,
Right.
it's a big.
There's your solution. It's so much easier to find a solution than to just be all bitchy.
Yeah.
So what you're doing is you're arguing you argue and deny reality as if reality sucks, because in my mind, I have the right way life's supposed to go, and my life is torturing me because life sucks compared to my ideas. So, if you believe in God, you're basically saying God sucks and you're better than him or her, So you got to get to a place where you're done arguing with reality, because you suffer when you do it. It is what it is.
Yeah.
You get to a place where does it make sense to feel sorry for yourself? What does feeling sorry for yourself do besides deny the truth? Wouldn't you rather know that if you know the truth sooner than later, how does that affect you?
If I know the truth sooner than later, I can start dealing with it, I guess.
You got it. And you can resolve it quicker, and you can move forward quicker. So what I learned in this process is the sooner I know the truth, the better in the long run. Even if it's down to like my husband's cheating on me, our relationship is going to end. And you know what? I don't want to be in denial about it. I don't want to complain about it. Whatever the truth is, it's going to unfold whether I like it or not. So I might as well just accept what it is. I don't have to like it or not. I can just accept what it is. And then, because then my life can continue to unfold. If I deny what that is, my life is put on pause. I have to pause it all. With my anger, with my resentments, and then you're just fixating on it, right? You're just fixating on it. As a victim, this isn't right. You're arguing with the truth when it is what it is, whether you like it or not. It's the truth. Like your relationship with your ex. The truth is that's the truth. So you can either be pissed about it and put your whole life on a black pause of suckiness, or you can just say, here's the truth, address it now, so move on. So you can move on. It makes no sense to sit and stew. The weird thing is there's some illusion that if you can, if you process it and think about it, like that does anything. It's kind of like this illusion that fear and having worry does anything. What does it do? Nothing. You're just sitting there in anxiety, just paralyzed.
Well, sometimes it can push you to action.
True. Yeah, survival mode does that. So once you're in that state, you have a choice. You can either hide, or you can fight, or you can accept and just have freedom. Which one would you rather? Because the ultimate goal here is that you transcend these survival mechanisms. That's really what you're suffering with. It's perpetual, life being impulsively guided by these mechanisms. So what I'm trying to teach you is how to get out of this. But you're right. There's benefit to survival mode. It's benefited the human species for millennia. Right? For hundreds of thousands of years.
The other night the other afternoon, I was I guess it was restlessness. I was just kind of pacing around. I was restless.
Yeah.
And I had done work, I'd gotten a lot accomplished during the day, and I kind of had this feeling like something was nipping at my heels, and then I don't know, then next thing, and it kind of pushed me, I sat down and all of a sudden got some writing done, I don't know, it was almost I don't know, I just sat and I actually kind of accomplished something, some writing pushed me, but I felt like it wasn't necessarily, it was sort of like I was existing in the space of restlessness, and I was okay with it. And then I did, I was like, why? First I was struggling with it. I was like, why is it that I feel like I never, nothing's enough? I can clean the whole apartment. I can go to get all my lists done. I can do this. I can do that. But I'll still be sitting there going, you still didn't do enough.
Well, yeah, that's kind of like losing all that weight and it's still not feeling good enough.
Yeah, it's true.
It kind of transfers into everything. I think that's a valid question that you need to delve into, is why is it that nothing is adequate? You can't just be okay with it. What is it that you're trying to... Is it because you're not achieving something?
Well, yeah, I think... Because like for me, like I am starting to feel like what is my life purpose? Like I'm really exploring that. Like because I feel like that's missing. I don't, and I don't know. Sometimes I feel I don't know. I think there's a balance. I think there's a balance to be found with that. There can be an anxiety which I totally have. I'll just have like anxiety that I can't handle something and that I need to that comes with accepting. And then I think there can just be like this little restlessness, like there's like a little bird kind of in your ear, like okay, come on, keep going. You got to find it. You have to find. You're looking for something. You've got to find something. I don't know. That makes sense.
Yeah. Well.
But then, because I do, I feel, I need to figure. I'm ready. I'm ready to dive into some sort of creative project or writing or something that I need to go
It's a jerky bag. He's so naughty. You're such a naughty dog. Sorry. Say no. Anyways. Yeah, I think this there's nothing wrong with any of that. I think the thing is just don't criticize any of that. There's times I feel like that about this goddamn book.
Yeah.
I should be writing today. I should be writing. And I don't feel like I've done anything unless I wrote. And you're right. Yeah. Some of that, it is important. It is part of how we activate energy towards a task at hand. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is when the task at hand is a compensation for you trying to feel better about who you are as a person.
Yeah.
Right? Versus, like me writing this book has nothing to do with me. This is not my life's purpose. This isn't, what's the word? Whether I write it or not, nothing changes.
You to, like, sink your teeth into that's something that's like from your heart.
Well, it feels good to express this.
Yeah.
But what really feels good is the fact that I don't have it looming.
Yeah.
So it's like, does it feel good to express it or does it feel good to not have to think about it anymore? The relief of not having to have it over my head is really what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Right? Just being able to understand what it is that what it is that you're wanting to achieve. Is it about proving yourself, or is it just about day to day getting shit done? Being able to write, like you said, it was like, okay, it did what it did. No, oh my god, this dog is hungry. I will as soon as we're done. Oh my god. Potato, relax for a second. Okay. You can wait a little bit. I think that's important to look at. Don't you think? Like, what is it? What are you trying to... Is it really about creative, or is... when you look at your life's purpose, I think that it's not just one thing, too. I think a big part of my life's purpose was to actually experience that eating disorder and the desire to kill myself. And that was a huge part of this life's purpose.
Yeah.
Because it's not like it was I'm going to set out to do that. It wasn't like that. It was just, what did I need to appreciate life? To appreciate the fact that there's so many ways to live life and be and to experience life, right? I can change all the time. I can set out to write this book. I can set out to do this and that. I could do the HCG protocol. I can start working with people. It's like infinite, really, what I can do with the energy I have and the focus I want. It can change all throughout my lifetime. So my purpose really, and your purpose really, and everybody's purpose really is just to be alive and to live and experience it. So how do you want to experience this? right? You could say in your past, the way you wanted to experience life has actually created a life full of misery, right? Highs and lows, alls and nothings, and it's not all bad. Like I said, for me, my experience in this life is really, a big part of it was horrible, like absolute horror, right? But I see it now as like, wow, what an incredible life experience to look back on and to actually be amazed that I survived it.
Yeah.
Again, and what it brought me is this open space of infinite potential as a purpose in this lifetime. From so many different ways to look at it. Like one of my current purposes is to be Potato's best friend.
Yeah.
That's it.
And my purpose is to be Monkey, my cat Monkey's best friend and caretaker.
Yeah, so you're doing it. Maybe it's just to be.
It's a mixed bag. I feel like it's, bad to be honest, it's a bit of, bit of a mixed bag with wanting to do something more than I'm doing, and also there's definitely some anxiety for the future. Like I need to be trying to do something for my future, and all my jobs are like under the table. Like I don't have 401k. I don't like, and I'm getting old, so I'm sort of, and I think there's could be some fear to that, and there can also just be some sense like, you can't just throw. There's balance in there somewhere that I haven't found.
No, you're absolutely right. I don't have a 401k either. It's so not as realistic for a lot of people, but.
Or Social Security, even for that matter. All my jobs are it's like.
Yeah.
So
there's a reality of where we live.
There's a day I'm not going to be able to go do all these jobs. I'm going to get older and older and older, and then what? So it's like somewhere along the line, do I need to find, a career that maybe makes less money than I make, but at least I would be getting a salary and be on the books and have Social Security, like. So there's just those realistic things of the future to think about, but then, I used to get way more terrified, but I still get just worried and nervous about what's coming.
Well, and the worry and nervousness comes from the inner sense of not being able to handle it.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, you can't tell the future, but whatever it is, there's a sense that you might not be able to handle it, or it's going to be. I always just recall, if I can handle the dark space of horror that I lived in, I can handle being homeless. I'd rather be homeless. So relative to that, this is all exciting. If I don't have retirement either, because I work for myself. I don't, Mark has his, but we can't even put money into it because we can't. I mean, this is normal stuff in our culture, right? I mean, unless you're super rich and have the luxury of having the same job, and, it's so not linear how that works. And it's just so much harder than it was 30 years ago. Anyways, I'm not saying
I'll have like this flash, and I'll just be like, okay, at the end of the day, what do you really need? You actually don't need that much, like,
right? Really consider it.
Like, you can go to like France and like live in a chalet, like serving coffee, and like sit in the morning on this, write in your diary or
like, right, write short diaries and publish them as ebooks. I mean, there's so much you can do. If your needs are not as high, right? So it really comes down to managing, what your needs are. And I think maybe I could be wrong, but maybe some of your anxiety comes from the unknown, with pairing that with a sense that you might not be able to handle it. If you are aware that as long as you're not, worst case scenario, homeless and living out of dumpsters, find your bottom point. My bottom point was total homelessness, living in the wilderness on my own is where I went. And even then I always felt like, because I was comparing it for me, I was comparing that to all of what I was handling with this horrible, horrible, demented mental illness. I was like, if I could handle this demented mental illness, oh my God, I could totally handle homelessness. That would be so great. So the handling aspect of this, it might be where I'm going to direct you to be looking.
Yeah.
It's not the reality of how the system works. That it works the way it works. We're not going to sit here and argue with that. Okay.
Yeah.
There are certain fundamental things that, the ideas of retirement and the ideals of it, really, not just the idea of it, the idealism around, like, that we're going to have like $1 million to be able to retire on, which is a fucking joke. And even then, you're still going to have to work, right? So it's, can you handle whatever it is, whether you're living in a whatever situation, living with your niece's basement because she's going to be whatever.
Yeah.
However it plays out, you just have to realize that, one, you're not going to do something that is anymore, right? So this comes down to a sense of capacity. I will not compromise my mental well-being ever again, right? Just so that I have an illusion of safety. Like living in a relationship that is like the one you just came out of. You'll never do that again, even if he has retirement.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's certain things you know about yourself that have been really important in this lifetime of growth to know what you're never going to do again. And if you could handle that and what it took and the recovery of it, holy shit, you can handle what is in the future.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's where you're struggling, is getting that sense.
Yeah,
so you don't have to be worried about the future.
It always comes back to that, like, can I handle it? Can I handle it?
Right, because that's where the worry of the future and the unknown comes from. At least from my personal experience. It comes from your inner sense of lacking capacity. That's where the worry comes from. Right?
Or just even worrying, like, about my recovery and it's like, because I'll still, there's still these thoughts that'll go through my head. Like, I'll still find myself like, oh, what did I eat yesterday? Or like, then it's like, will this ever stop? Like, will this voice ever just fucking stop?
Well, you're not surrendering, clearly. Right?
Yeah,
just float. It's like floating on the ocean, Chrissy. That's one of the ways I would describe this feeling, is you're shipwrecked. Okay, and you're in the middle of the ocean and there's no sight or destiny in sight, right? And all you see are waves and huge waves that roll up. And sometimes it's really calm and beautiful. The water's warmer, and then there's these cold waves that come in and whatnot. You're refusing to just let the ocean take you where it's going to take you. So you're spending your time trying to tread water and fight humongous waves that are taking you where they're going to take you anyways.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is just be like a freaking seaweed, dude. Just roll it.
Well, this knee thing, I feel like it's like up to the ante. Like, it definitely, like, someone just lit a little fire on this whole recovery thing with this knee thing. It's like now you have, look, you should really lose weight now. Like, it's like
well, hey, if you want to try it and see if it makes it easier, you go for it. I mean, maybe that's what you need to do. You keep on arguing for it.
Oh, I know. I'm kind of going, because then there's part of me that feels like I'm not letting myself lose weight.
Well,
like,
why don't you? Well, then do it. I really, honestly, you and I have worked long enough together. I feel like I'm aware of where you're at enough to be able to say, hey, dude, just try to lose weight, because in the end, you're going to have to keep on doing what you're doing so your knee doesn't hurt if it doesn't hurt. So you can either complain about your knee hurting or complain about the lifestyle of obsessiveness trying to not gain weight.
Yeah.
Because even if you do lose weight, you better keep on doing what you're doing to keep the weight lost. And you better monitor your weight, because you got to keep your eye on it.
Or, on the other hand, I could lose weight and be like, this means nothing. Why would I even care about this?
Because you care about it now.
Yeah.
So that's fantasy. The idea that I care about it now, and when I lose weight, I won't care about it anymore. That's funny.
Well, I do keep going back and forth, like, God, maybe I should just jump on a round, like, not just for part of this recovery, like, see what it's like, see what I feel, I'm just kind of
okay, like, get your bearings.
Like, am I gonna get high? Am I gonna really get high and think that I look like? Because that seems, that's a little bit further. I mean, I'm not that into.
Well, think about it.
Like, will I get high again? Because right now I'm just like, I don't. It's not. I'm already out of the closet as a fat person. Like,
Imagine yourself losing 50 pounds.
Yeah, like, am I going to be like, ooh, I look hot, or am I?
Do you want to? Even if you do you want to feel hot? Do you even want that feeling? So reject the feeling. So if you lose 50 pounds, doesn't matter.
Then I just feel like, ooh, I could. That's just the same stupid
it doesn't
tape recording
do anything. Yeah, it doesn't really do anything. That's the goal, is that you can see it does nothing. If I lose weight, if I stay the same, really nothing changes. Right?
Yeah. So when I'm like, I wonder why I'm not, because now I'm also like, oh, I don't want to gain weight, so that'll make my knee worse.
I know, that's hilarious, because the pain isn't coming from your weight, it's coming from a tear. So this is the funniest part about brainwashing, is the way that your brainwashing tells you is your weight is the pain. It's not the tear. If you were 100 pounds less, the tear is going to hurt.
Then I just get scared, like, that it's going to do collapse or my weight.
See, what you're essentially saying is, I don't want to live in reality, Robin, because I'm afraid of the truth of whatever it is. And it comes down to the fact that whatever I'm going to make up in my head around what I'm afraid of, it's based on the fact that I can't handle any of it. The truth is the truth, whether you think you can handle it or you don't think you can handle it. The difference is someone that can handle it doesn't have all this bullshit running around in their head.
Yeah.
You get to have the bullshit because you're afraid of reality. Like, I'm afraid to go limp in this ocean, even though all the treading of water is worse. Right? Treading water in an ocean that's going to swallow you up versus it's swallowing you up limp as a noodle. Which one would you rather?
No, it's true. It's like, okay, the knee is going to hurt no matter what.
Yes.
And I can, like, nitpick it and be like, well, the extra pounds certainly aren't helping. Like, okay, but, like, the knee's still going to hurt whether, like, it just, like, the truth exists no matter how I try to.
Exactly. So you're going to lose weight thinking it's going to be less painful. Okay, but that requires that you harness all of this focus on food and removing food and controlling food, right? And let's just say you do get the gratification of the weight loss, and let's just say your knee pain does go down, all right? Let's just say that thought is true. Mm-hmm. You still have to harness all the energy forever on restricting of food and making sure you stay thinner to maintain that, because it's serving your fear of whatever, not being able to handle the pain.
Yeah.
Right? Notice how you so quickly could handle weight loss, but you can't handle pain. You can handle the OCD, but you can't handle the pain. You know?
Yeah.
So my suggestion, and I know you've heard me say this, and I really feel this. I really do feel this as your coach. I think you should do another round. I really think it would be super beneficial to you. I think it'll give you bearings around where you're at. It'll give you a very clear understanding of. I think it'll be a good thing in terms of learning, like approaching
it. It'll shake things up. You know, I feel like I just need something to shake things up. Like,
yeah, that's coming from you. You're reaching outside of yourself. Listen to me. Don't listen to yourself. I get that. Really, this isn't a matter of trying to fix anything or make anything better than it is, because that's the problem. You keep on thinking, when I do that, everything will be better. No. Okay, because you're not addressing your inner sense of lacking capacity. You're not addressing that. You're saying, well, if I fix this out here, if I shake it up out here, then I'll feel better. Well,
maybe I'll learn something. It seems like I'm kind of
stuck. You might, but I don't think so. The integrity, though, is that the shit that I'm not feeling good about will be better when I shake this up. So
yeah,
it doesn't work that way. Life doesn't work that way in truth and reality. If you can't handle your current reality, what's shaking it up going to do? You still can't handle it from the inside. It's not an outside job. It's an inside job. The reason why I think this would be a good decision, okay, is that it's going to make you more aware that we can shake it up out here all we want. The inside job is going to have to be addressed at some point. You're going to have to stop trying to, if I just sit here, do something different, distract myself here, I'm going to distract myself there, I'm going to do a yoga retreat here, I'm going to go do this there. Maybe I should, you're still like looking outside of yourself. And everything I want you to do is look at the truth from within. Can you handle the worst case scenario? Every time something comes up and threatens you, can I handle that? Can I handle that? That's my suggestion. You know, that's how I live. Anytime something comes up, as it arises, there's all sorts of choices. All sorts of choices. I can deny it, I can run away, I can fight it, or I can accept my fear and then make a logical decision around it.
Man. And that's just your reflex now?
It is.
God.
Even when it came to like my mother dying, the active process of dying.
Yeah.
You know, it was breathing it in at all times as it's occurring, even to the moment she took her last breaths. My first instinct was to run, deny. And I just had to go, well, why would I do that? The fact of the matter is that this is what's happening, and I'm going to have to face it now while it's occurring, or later while I'm still in grief, because it perpetuates longer in my denial. Like, I remember flying to go see her. This is just as an example, right? Knowing that when I came back home, my mom would have already died. Because I was going to be there until she died. I was there for 2 months. Right? You know, when you're flying there knowing I'm about to watch my mother pass away. And I'm about to watch her whole body just go down and I'm about to watch her brain cancer push her eyeball out I'm about to watch this. You know, you're going into pain voluntarily, in humility, willing to just, even though you don't have a sense of capacity, because I've never done this before. It is what it is. I'm just going to accept what it is. I have no forecast of what it's going to be. There's no future telling. It is, I will accept it as it occurs in each and every moment. And not just that, there's like watching my father grieve, the pain and anguish that he went through. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's you've experienced this to some degree, you know, with your own family. So it's like, it's similar. It's like I'm seaweed. I'm literally seaweed in this lifetime. You know, and times that I want to force things or times I suffer. Doesn't mean I don't make decisions. It doesn't mean but what I've learned is to accept my fear so I can actually be more open to what reality is and what my role is in navigating it. Right? I would say like writing this book, I am consistently accepting that it's hard to read. Someone's going to think it's boring. Every negative opinion about this book is already out there. So I've accepted it. That has given me so much freedom to just write then what I want.
Yeah. That's true.
Someone's going to come into this thinking it's going to be as glorious as my YouTube videos. Hell no, this is way more academic than that. Because that's the way I want to write it. I'm just using these as examples for you to kind of go, okay. Right? So the protocol. Back to you.
Well, I'll find out this week. Hopefully I'm going to see the doctor as far as when surgery. I'm not going to jump on it right now around Christmas. It's not realistic. Maybe I'll just see when I'm having surgery. I'm supposed to possibly start this writing program. But now I just need to.
You realize you're going to have to. What I'm recommending you do with telling yourself the truth, that's what you would have to do on the protocol. Why wouldn't you just do that now? Why do you need the protocol to do that? Right? So if you were to just practice those kind of the truth telling, if you want to call it that the protocol just forces on you. It's forced on you, right? That's the way you should live anyways.
Yeah.
Why, if you can't just do it in reality at this point, how is it going to be possible after you do a round? So what I would recommend is you take this time to live on, quote unquote, the truth protocol around food.
Around food?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that you can face a lot of this anxiety and face a lot of your beliefs about how sucky you are. Because that's really what it comes down to.
It's still, I still have way too much inflammation around eating and, and portion, I was just like, God, maybe I'm just making too much food. So why am I, because I'm usually full 2/3 into everything I eat. It's like I've literally 2/3 in, I'm done. And I just eat that last third because I just want it, or I'm anxious, or I'm just going to eat this. And there's all that fucking shit that still goes on.
Yeah. And so you need to work on your self-regulation. That would be my recommendation for anybody. It's like, don't rely on the protocol to make you, because it's it's so radical. It's not realistic in reality.
Yeah.
You got to be able to do this in reality without having to have some protocol, control you. You got to be able to tell yourself the truth. And what are you not wanting to face? Eating that, the last
hunger. Hunger. Just waiting for myself to get hungry in itself can sometimes be like, oh, I want to eat. Are you hungry yet? And I'll just like the faintest little feeling of hunger. I'll like, okay, I'm hungry.
Yeah, that is such a cover-up, though. All of those things from you are like surface cover-up shit. If you were to go deeper than that, and what it requires to go deeper is that you not respond to your desires. You have to go into why. You have to stop doing what you're naturally doing to face that.
To just be okay with,
If I'm not hungry, I'm not going to eat. So if I have all this desires and wants, what am I compensating for?
Yeah.
And the only way for it to come up is for you to not eat.
Yeah.
And you got to do it without feeling sorry for yourself. Because do you really want food to be this magical? Do you really want it to be this important?
Mm-mm.
Well, the other thing is, if you feel bad about your weight, you're going to have all those issues with food. So.
Yeah.
And what makes you think that those issues aren't going to be there, or those feelings aren't going to be there after you've lost 50 pounds? They're going to be there.
It's true. It's compensation. I'll definitely be aware of, I'm going to make myself, food is more of like an event or something. Like, what am I going to do? I'm going to make my yummy veggies. It's so exciting. I take all the time to make it, and then I'm full in 2 seconds flat. It's like, I've worked this hard. This is supposed to be a big deal. It can't be over already. 10 bites. It can't be over. I'm just going to, it's just all this.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. It should be like, oh great, it's over. Now I've got way better things to do than this.
Yeah.
Right. So you're not. You're kind of codependent right now. It sounds like. So without it, you're like, life is boring. I don't know what to do. Food is taken care of. My entertainment.
And half the joy is I actually do enjoy. Cutting up my veggies and sautéing them. I enjoy the little making myself. It's nurturing and it's nice, and so it's like that. Why can't I just enjoy that? Why do I have to? The eating part is almost an afterthought.
So then why are you such a victim when
I get full so fast?
Well,
or I get satisfied so fast.
Hold on, it's only so fast relative to your expectations, so it's actually like everybody else.
That's true.
I know, you're not questioning that stuff. It's like you got to start questioning this stuff if you want to recover. You got to be so done with your own bullshit. You really do.
I'm talking about. I do. Sometimes I do. I just need to talk about food a little bit. So it is helpful just to kind of expose these little thought processes when I'm dealing with food.
Mm-hmm.
And I know when I'm fully recovered, like I've had those blissful, flat a week here and a week there. So I do know that when you're in that state, like none of this matters. You just eat.
It doesn't.
You just
yeah, there's
eat
no
until,
victim position ever.
Yeah.
It's like, why would you feel bad about something so dumb when you have all this freedom?
Or just food
Yeah.
is like, it's fun to, it's beautiful and it's
And
to
you're
be
so
enjoyed,
grateful that you have it. Just having access to it, there's so much gratitude. So why complain about the fact that you want more and you're pissed?
I know.
So, and that makes sense, to be honest with you, from this other state of being, right? So you can see, oh, relative to my state of being, the outcome of how I feel about everything is so different. So you got to get to where this state of being isn't a physicality. It's not a physical determined. That's an externally determined concept. It's defined by the way I perceive the world from choice from within. It's a choice from within. That I am enough. That no condition on the outside matters.
Yeah.
So whatever it is, I'm dancing with it. It's leading me. I'm not leading it. If you start leading it, what happens to expectations? What happens to how you feel about reality? It's always not good enough. Always. Yeah. It will never be enough. Because you're leading it with the ego, right? You're leading it with your expectations. You're leading it with some concept of betterment, which really is coming from this inner sense of lack. And you're not okay with that lack. So you got to be okay with the lack. If you can get okay with that, that means that it kind of reestablishes a point of like contentment. So if you're struggling with contentment, you need to look at you're avoiding this sense of lacking or judging it, really. You following me? Did you follow that?
I'm writing it. I'm making a couple notes. Yeah. Be like seaweed is for sure a good one. Be okay with lack.
Yeah, you're judging that lackingness, and that's really where you're you're trying to maybe overstep reality, and then reality compared to what you think it should be feels like crap.
Yeah, it just ultimately still kind of not accepting reality, trying to control things, still thinking I have some sort of control over things, which I don't. And
well, you do in terms of adapting to reality.
Yeah.
That's a choice you have control over. You can either choose to adapt to it or you can choose to deny it. Which one is going to end up with contentment?
Adapting.
Right? At least you have some reality you can work with, but when you're not adapting to reality and you're rigid to it, what do you get?
All of this.
A lot of freaking work, man.
Intense. Yeah.
It's intense. That's a good word to describe it, for sure.
And just tension. Just having that nervous tension, but yeah. All right, well, I think it's time to go.
And you have lots to think about.
Yeah, and I think that's